Hello, Dreamcatchers, and welcome to another segment of the Writers Haven. We're in the Writers Haven corner at the 2018 National Book Club Conference. And with me today is author Jess Byrd, who is the author of the book entitled Sunny Days. This is his most recent book. He has another book that he published earlier. We're going to talk about all of that. Jess, welcome to the, is it Jess or Jesse? Jesse, welcome to the Writers Haven. We're at the National Book Club Conference. How are you enjoying this conference? I know that you had a table set up and a lot of book club folks were coming by. How has that experience been for you?
Oh, it's been amazing. The books clubs showed a lot of love. People come out passionate about books. It's great to see people still strong in the literary community, and it's great to see our people coming out and supporting the literary arts. So it's been an amazing conference for us. Made a lot of amazing people, a lot of aspiring writers as well who are trying to get their career off the ground. So happy to share resources and just chat it up.
Okay, so Sunny Days is your second book. Let's talk about the very beginning and what inspired you to write.
So Sunny Days sort of came to me in a blaze. It took me maybe 3 months to write it top to bottom. And my family is from New Orleans, so they suffered through Hurricane Katrina and came out on the other end of it. And I think there were just a lot of valuable lessons that we learned about persistence and hope and effort. And so that's something that I kind of wanted to instill in kids early, that storms will come. But if you approach it with the right outlook and with hard work, because you do need both, you don't need just positivity as well as effort, you can come out on the other end and you can be okay, or you can be better than you were, at least. So I wanted to share that message.
Okay, and so what's the name of the book before Sunny Days?
So the first book is King Penguin, and that's a novel for ages 10 and up. So it's a middle grade novel, and that's helping kids with transition. You know, that awkward phase when you're going through middle grade to high school, you're trying to find yourself. You know, you don't even know what fit to wear. You're switching up your style, trying to see where you belong. And so it's a coming of age story, and I tell the story through penguins because I wanted to get all of the race and religion and culture barriers out of the way so we can just see sort of, ironically, the humanity, you know, the inside of what it feels like when you're trying to grow up and find your place. So that was really important to me to communicate that because I bounced around a lot as a kid. I went to 5 different schools before 8th grade. So I know what it's like to be new. I know what it's like to try to find your place. And transition is just a metaphor for life. So I just wanted kids to really get that early.
Okay, so I think that you talked about what inspired you because of some of the experiences that you've had. But what made you put paper to pen or pen to paper? Because, you know, many people have these thoughts, have these feelings, thinks it's important. But what made you actually put pen to paper and write about it?
Well, I think writing was sort of my vehicle. It was my vessel. I do believe that ideas choose people. And so when this concept chose me, this was kind of the way it was screaming to get out. And so it's more of an obedience type thing than it is a selection. If it wanted to come out in music, then I would have to learn how to play music. But fortunately for me, these were stories that I could tell with the pen. And I spent a lot of time after I got out of college honing these stories, trying to improve them. Writing is a craft, so you do have to spend a lot of time with it, even if you believe you have a really great idea. So that was why, for me, it was just a natural vessel, writing.
Okay. Now, do you have a background in writing? Did you study it in school, or what is it that really gave you the tools that you needed to be a writer of children's books and middle schoolers?
So I studied sociology in college, and I have a minor in history. So that's a ton of writing for anybody who's familiar with those backgrounds. It's essentially a writing degree. And yeah, those sort of taught me how to think about the world in terms of like people and how groups of people think. And the more you learn about it, you get some sort of interesting theories about how all this unfolds. And so for me, writing was always second nature. That was one fold of it. The other half of it is my mom's been an author since I was about 11 or 12.
Can you tell us who your mom is?
Well, I will. So my mom is Mary Honeybee Morrison. She started writing when I was 12. Just a little bit about her backstory because it's super interesting. She quit her job at HUD, making really good money. She was making almost 6 figures. She quit her job. She dug into her pension and her 401k, and she used her own money to fund her first book. Now, her first book was a poetry book, and she spent $50,000 of her retirement money, and it didn't work out. And then she had to go back to.
I didn't even know your mother wrote a poetry book. I know all of the other books that she's written. I know she's doing a lot of great things now with her podcast and all this other stuff, but I did not know her first book was poetry. That's a nice little nugget of information to know. But continue.
No, no, no. Yeah, most people don't know that. They don't know that her first attempt at writing was to sell a collection of her poems, and she found it really difficult. And I think what I really admire about her is that when things got tough, she just sort of read up. She rebooted. She asked her friends for a $5,000 loan. I think she has 10 friends, and they loaned her the money. She got another 50K, and she put it right back into her first novel, Soulmates Dissipate, which was a New York Times bestseller in about, I don't know, 3 months or something like that. So, I mean, she could have really quit after her first failure because she had taken such a big leap. She didn't have a job. She was out of 50 grand. But she just really believed in the stories that she had to tell. And I think that example really taught me that if this is your vehicle, then you have to pursue it passionately, you know.
Okay. So your mom obviously inspired you as part of, just to be a writer. And then the stories were based on those experiences and things that you thought were important to write about. Let's talk a bit about your process and how you approach the writing process. And is it different for the children's book, the younger ages versus the middle schoolers? Technically, how do you approach the process?
Yeah, I think middle schoolers versus children are facing different challenges. So I want to be sensitive to the fact that those are different stages in your life, different phases. In terms of books in general, I like to storyboard a lot, especially with children's books because you have to see it cinematically. Each scene needs to push the story forward, just like each chapter in a book needs to push the story forward. If it doesn't propel the story forward, then it's lagniappe. It doesn't really belong in the story. So with children's books, you have to think in pictures because the illustrations are what going to draw the people first. So you have to sort of cater to that audience. So it was a lot of fun doing that after doing a novel. One, because it didn't take as long. The novel took me like 3 years. The picture book took me like 6 months top to bottom. It took me 3 months to write and then 3 months to do illustrations and revisions. But you have to think more like an art director and a cinematic director instead of just a writer because you usually only have about 500 words in a picture book to get your point across. So it's not a lot of text. So you have to think visually, and that's so much fun. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. For those dream catchers, especially who are thinking of writing a children's book or a book for middle schoolers, which you know what, I didn't even realize until recently, like within the last year, that there was that separate category, middle schoolers. It was always kind of like children's books, and then you jump to YA. There wasn't that in between. When did that become prominent? I mean, I just could be really back in terms of not being up on the news about those things. But when did middle schooler books become a separate category of writing?
I mean, just me, I like to mark everything by the advent of Harry Potter. I think once Harry Potter came along, there was a necessity to really categorize these things differently. So I think they really wanted to get hyper specific about who those types of books were targeting. And I think because of that sort of quantum shift, everybody else had to fit into a different cubby. So you would say children's books before, but you would be talking about the Chronicles of Narnia alongside Dr. Seuss. Well, those aren't the same children dealing with the same challenges. That's a really big clump. And so it got hyper specific with that. And trying to think of the name of the book with the arrow and the young lady. Yeah, it was a big movie series. It was 3 books. Anywho, it'll come to me. But I think that segmented YA. I think when that came about, that was Hunger Games. Yes, when the Hunger Games came about, I think that really segmented YA for the modern era. So you got Hunger Games, you got Harry Potter, you got Dr. Seuss. Those are 3 totally different age ranges, so you have to give them a name. And I think that's what started it, in my opinion. Just my opinion.
Okay, that sounds pretty logical to me. Okay, so what other projects are you working on? I know you have something big coming up next month.
Yep. So my next project that's releasing next month is called Jungle Tales. And it's a really, really fun, tongue-in-cheek, like Halloween spooky adventure. So it's starring a young lady named Z. She's Native American. She's a prankster. So I'll give you the premise. She gets punished on Halloween, so she doesn't get to go trick-or-treating. So she has to find another way to get her candy. And the way she goes about that, I won't give it all away to you, but the way she goes about that is pretty comical slash ingenious. You kind of wonder if she's going over the line a little bit. She's kind of my Dennis the Menace, if I had to give her a name. Um, but I just like the fact that she's a young lady of color who's going out there and really, I don't know, psychologically taking advantage of all of these, boys. And I just think it's great. And she's great. I love Z. She's a little troublemaker.
That sounds awesome. How long does it typically take for you to write your books?
I think I usually get the concept within about 2 months. I can refine like what's the heartbeat of this story, what's the core, what's the value that we're trying to communicate, and sort of what's the mood. Top to bottom, I would say it takes me anywhere from 6 to 8 months. So I actually have three different picture books in progress right now at various stages. Some are just skeletons, some are black and white sketches, some are, pretty much ready to go. But I would say 6 to 8 months, top to bottom, is usually what it takes me to get the script done and also the illustrations.
So from idea, concept to actually putting it on the page to actually going through the illustrations, and how involved are you in that piece of the puzzle, the illustrations part?
Oh, I would recommend anybody who's doing picture books and they're doing it on their own to be hyper involved in that process. So I do art direction, revisions. I'm right there. I give them a structure for what each scene needs to be. And then, they give me their draft and I go back and forth. I think the most important piece is picking the right illustrator for the script. Everybody has a certain type of style, and you don't want to try to mold their style to your story. You want them to be true to themselves so they can be the best version of themselves. But at the same time, you want to challenge them to make sure that you guys are both coming together to put together a product that's cohesive and has synergy. So that's important.
Okay, great. So, what would you say have been your greatest achievements as a writer?
So this year, 2018, we were the Mom's Choice Award winner for Sunny Days. Really proud of that. For 2017, we won the Paris Book Festival. We were top three. LA Book Festival, we were top five. So I'm really proud of that for the middle grade novel for King Penguin. So both books have done well in their own right. So I'm just proud that you kind of like a chef prepares a meal. You take all the time to prepare the meal. You hope people enjoy it. It's just that simple. It's the same thing with books. You just hope that it provides value to the people that you look to serve.
Okay. Now, do you read children's books? Who are you reading?
Oh, I read a ton of children's books. I read about 400 to 500 a year, believe it or not, and I keep them in a spreadsheet. I make notes because I believe you should study the craft that you want to be a part of and always be learning. So obviously, Dr. Seuss is fantastic. Patricia Polacco is amazing. There are so many authors, but I think what really bothers me, and it's part of my motivation in the space, there's not a lot of authors of color that are household names in the children's picture book industry. So, I mean, they need not only racial diversity, but also gender diversity and cultural diversity. I can't think of a woman of color either who is a household name for picture books. That's a problem. Picture books have been around for almost 100 years. Like that's a big problem. So when you think about the need, I think we have to create our own icons and our own champions. So I just want to be here to service that niche, and that's why I'm hyper specific about picture books for children.
Okay, and what advice would you give to a young aspiring writer who's looking to write, to get into the genre of whether it's children's books or for middle schoolers or YA?
Well, what's great about picture books in specific is that you can study a lot of them and they don't require a lot of your time. So it takes me about 30 minutes per book if I'm making notes as well on each page about artwork, about text, about rhyming prose, about who printed this book, who published this book, what year did it come out, what accolades did it receive. What you want to build is an intrinsic feel for what the market is craving. And then you can add your twist or your addition or your contribution. So my biggest bit of advice is really be a passionate student of your craft. A lot of people think that there's a shortcut to that. Even if you have early success, that's great, but always continue to learn. Never ever stop learning, taking notes, and studying how people became successful, maybe what worked, maybe what didn't work, and what you can add to the genre.
So, Dreamcatchers, thanks for joining us for another exciting segment on the Writers Haven in the Haven Corner of the 2018 National Book Club Conference. Again, this is author Jesse Byrd, and this is his book, Sunny Days. And he has another book coming out next month called
Jungle Tales.
Jungle Tales. So those books are sold wherever books are sold. And you can also follow Jesse's writer journey on through his website, which is.
JesseBCreative.com. That's JESSE, B as in boy, creative.com.
And you can also follow him on the social media sites of.
I'm on Instagram and Facebook, and it's the same handle, JESSE, B as in boy, creative.com.
All right, you heard it first, dream catchers. Thank you. And until next time, catch fire on purpose.
This is the moment I knew. His future had no boundaries.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org.
Okay, and so being a self-published author, or actually you're with a publishing house and you have a team of people that look at your books and make sure that everything is okay. So how involved are you in that process, like outside of just the writing of the books?
Um, Sometimes I might go over it with my mom and take out little pieces. Um, and if I'm writing on paper, and she's gonna type it on the computer so she can save it. We actually do go through and take some pieces out that really aren't that important.
Okay, so you're here at the National Book Club Conference. Is it exactly what you thought it would be, or is it more than you expected? Tell me about how your experience has been here.
Well, it really has been more than I expected, because I was here last year and it was very very fun, and so I do expect. Well, I really didn't expect this, but it has been better.
Okay. And so what do you think that book clubs are important for authors like you?
Yes, they are, because you get a chance. Because I really love to read, and so when you go around and getting books, it's just like you it's technically you in a fantasy world, because reading is fun. It really is. And so when you get books, it's just amazing.
Okay. Are there any authors here that you wanted to make sure that you met?
Um, I know Miss Terry McMillan. I think that's it.
Okay. Okay. All right. That's fine. That's great. Okay. So your experience has been great. You're meeting a lot of other fellow authors who are inspiring. Tell me some of the authors that you're really, really inspired by and that you're reading.
Um, well, I do read a lot of books. I can't make out the names.
I know it's kind of one of those on the spot questions that you need a second to kind of train your brain to remember. I totally get that. I totally get that. All right. So, what are some of the books or authors that have in some way inspired your reading?
Well,
Not who you're reading, but I mean, you probably read them too, but just inspires you in any way.
Well, I read more. Well, me.
Are there any other young authors that do you? So tell me, what kind of books do you read? Let's do it that way. What kind of books do you read?
I read scary books.
Do you read like the Goosebumps series? Okay.
I have like one or two books on Goosebumps.
Okay, that's not good. And wait a minute. Oh, okay. I don't know if I killed it, but okay, let's pick these up. That's all good. That's all part of the what we do. Okay, so let me see. There was one other question. Oh, what advice would you give to aspiring writers?
Shine bright.
What does that mean?
Meaning be yourself and don't let anybody take you down.
And that's very important to life and the writing process, I'm sure. I mean, especially with the themes of the books that you've written, I can totally see that connection. Okay, what is some of the greatest achievements as a writer that you? Because this is something that a lot of people may not know. They see you as the writer and they read your books, but what are some of your greatest achievements that you want to share?
I know writing the books, getting them published. I'm guessing because this is something that I would have never thought I would have done, because when I was younger, I also have a passion for gymnastics, and so I thought that was going to be one of the main goals in life, but this is another one, a very great goal.
Okay, and you see yourself having a career totally and completely as a writer.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you so very much for coming on the show and spending some time with us. And Dreamcatchers, we're going to air this show as part of our season 3 series of shows where we're highlighting authors and filmmakers. And so definitely stay tuned for not only this show, but other shows that are coming down the pike. And until we meet again, catch fire on purpose.
Hey, you.
Yeah, you. Getting that college education? What are you gonna do? Graduate and take some office job? Be like everybody else?
Or will you dare do something different?
Like, be a teacher. You could be my teacher. You got the skills, the smarts.
Yes, you.
You could be the teacher I never forget.
That'd be cool.
Does that corporate job even have recess? What are you gonna make of yourself?
What are you gonna make of me?
Dreamcatchers, welcome to another exciting season of the Writers Haven Show. I'm Helena, your host and executive producer. The Writers Haven Show was created to showcase the passion, process, and projects of writers of literature, television, and film. In our 3rd season, we've expanded our programming to include songwriters. We hope to inspire and motivate you with this season's lineup of artists. Stream our shows on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, iTunes, Sonos, SoundCloud, Spotify, Alexa, and YouTube. We drop new episodes every week, so subscribe and never miss a show. Find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Tumblr at Author V. Helena, and visit our website at www.writershavenshow.com. See you in the Haven, and until next time, catch fire on purpose.
Here we go. We're gonna go out there in the rain. Gonna get wet. All right, here we go. Okay, quick. Oh yeah, yes. So much fun. Mwah. We're getting so wet.
Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help, I made it.
This is the moment I knew. His future had no boundaries.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org.
Hey, you.
Yeah, you. Getting that college education? What are you gonna do? Graduate and take some office job? Be like everybody else?
Or will you dare do something different?
Like, be a teacher. You could be my teacher. You got the skills, the smarts.
Yes, you.
You could be the teacher I never forget.
That'd be cool.
Does that corporate job even have recess? What are you gonna make of yourself?
What are you gonna make of me?
Did you know dragging chains can spark a wildfire?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Open up your books to page 360.
Did you just look at your phone while you was in class? You played yourself.
Talking about inspirational quotes.
You gotta believe in yourself. Don't ever play yourself. The key is to make it, so make it.
Louise, can you give me an example of an inspirational quote?
Don't play yourself. The key is to make it.
And who said that?
I did. Now that's a major key alert.
Learn the real major keys to getting to college at getschool.com.
Green hat. Red hat. Oops. Red shirt. Blue shirt. Yellow shirt. Oops. Yellow pants. Red pants. Green pants. Oops.
Don't wait. Communicate. Make your emergency plan today.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.